Who dominates the LLM market and why? The answer is more nuanced than you might think. There are dozens of providers now: OpenAI, Anthropic, Google, Mistral, Cohere, and many more, each with different strengths, pricing models, and ideal use cases. Choosing the wrong one can cost you thousands of dollars or hurt your product's quality. Choosing the right one can give you a serious competitive edge. In this video, you'll build a clear mental map of the entire closed source LLM landscape. By the end, you'll have the knowledge to make an informed, confident choice for your specific project. Let's dive in. Choosing an LLM provider is like choosing a cloud hosting provider. Each has strengths, and what matters most is your needs, not who is best overall. The market today is anchored by a few dominant players. OpenAI leads in ecosystem and adoption. Anthropic leads in safety and long context reasoning. Google leads in multimodal and real time integration. Then there's a second tier: Mistral for cost efficiency, Cohere for enterprise search, Together AI for open source flexibility, and Amazon Bedrock as a multi provider gateway. The LLM market is rapidly changing. Today's expensive model is tomorrow's commodity. Smart teams use multiple providers simultaneously for different tasks. Understanding each player's positioning is your first strategic advantage. OpenAI is the industry standard not because it is always the best, but because it was first and has the strongest ecosystem. The model lineup includes GPT-4o, GPT-4 Turbo with a 128K context window, and GPT-4o Mini for cost-sensitive tasks. Pricing is per token with separate rates for input and output tokens. Output is typically 2 to 4 times more expensive than input. Rate limits are tiered. Higher spend unlocks more tokens per minute and requests per minute. Azure OpenAI uses the exact same models but runs on Azure infrastructure. This makes Azure the right choice for enterprises needing HIPAA compliance, SOC 2 certification, or regional data residency. Your data stays in your Azure region and is never used for model training. The trade off is more complex setup. Azure requires a subscription, a deployment configuration, and an Azure resource endpoint instead of the standard OpenAI URL. Anthropic was founded by former OpenAI researchers with a singular focus: building AI that is safe, honest, and interpretable. The Claude model family includes Claude 3 Opus for maximum capability, Claude 3 Sonnet for a balanced performance to cost ratio, and Claude 3 Haiku for fast, cheap inference. Here is where it gets interesting. Claude's context window reaches 200,000 tokens, the largest among major providers. That means you can feed entire code bases, legal contracts, or lengthy research papers in a single prompt. Unlike OpenAI, which is cheaper per token for simple tasks, Anthropic Claude is often worth the premium if you need better reasoning, nuanced text analysis, or safety critical outputs. Constitutional AI training gives Claude better guardrails by design. Most people don't realize that Claude also supports extended thinking mode. The model reasons step by step before answering, significantly improving accuracy on complex problems. Google's Gemini models represent a fundamentally different design philosophy: multimodal from the ground up, not bolted on afterward. Gemini Ultra handles the most demanding tasks, Gemini Pro balances capability and cost, and Gemini Nano runs on device for mobile applications. The critical differentiator is real time information access. Gemini can search Google in real time during inference, something OpenAI and Anthropic cannot do natively. This matters enormously for applications needing current news, live prices, or up to date facts. Vision capabilities in Gemini are best in class. It handles text, images, audio, and video in the same request. Context windows reach up to 1 million tokens in select tiers, making it extraordinary for extremely long documents. The ecosystem fragmentation is the main weakness. You have Google AI Studio, Vertex AI on GCP, and the standard Gemini API, each with slightly different pricing and feature sets. For Google Cloud customers, Vertex AI with Gemini is the natural home. Beyond the top three, several providers offer compelling specialization. Mistral AI is a European company focused on efficiency and openness. Mistral Large rivals GPT-4 on many benchmarks at a significantly lower price per token. For teams with EU data residency requirements, Mistral is especially attractive. Cohere focuses on enterprise search pipelines. Their embed and re-rank models are best in class for retrieval augmented generation workflows, and their command model handles generation. If embeddings and semantic search are your core need, Cohere deserves serious consideration. Together, AI bridges open source and proprietary, offering efficient inference on models like Llama and Mixtral through a paper token API, great for high volume, cost sensitive workloads. Then there are multi provider gateways. Amazon Bedrock gives AWS customers unified access to Claude, Mistral, Cohere, and Llama under one AWS contract. This is a critical difference for enterprises already committed to AWS. Single billing, single compliance service, built-in fallback routing between providers. This diagram maps the major providers across two dimensions, cost and capability. OpenAI GPT-4o and Anthropic Claude 3 Opus sit in the high capability, higher cost quadrant. Gemini Pro and Mistral Large occupy the sweet spot of strong capability at moderate cost. GPT-4o Mini, Claude Haiku, and Mistral Small cluster in the efficient, low-cost zone, great for high-volume tasks. Cohere and Together AI sit toward the lower cost end with more specialized capability profiles. No single provider wins on all dimensions. Your budget, your use case, and your compliance requirements together determine the optimal choice. Use this map as a starting point, then validate with your own benchmarks on your specific task. Here is a practical decision framework you can apply right now to any project. Start by identifying your primary priority. Is it cost, reasoning quality, safety, real time data, or compliance? If cost is the priority, start with smaller models like GPT 4o Mini, Claude Haiku, or Mistral Small. Upgrade only if quality is insufficient. If you need best reasoning or code generation, OpenAI GPT 4o and Claude 3 Opus are your top candidates. The performance advantage is worth the cost for complex tasks. If your application is safety critical, moderation, legal analysis, healthcare, choose Anthropic Claude, where constitutional AI training gives better guardrails by design. For vision tasks, rank your options as Gemini first, then GPT 4o, then Claude 3 Opus. If your team is already on AWS, Azure, or GCP, use the matching gateway service, Amazon Bedrock, Azure OpenAI, or Vertex AI to simplify compliance and billing. Finally, revisit this decision quarterly. The market evolves fast. You now have the knowledge to make an informed choice for your specific project. The major players each have a clear lane. OpenAI for ecosystem breadth, Anthropic for safety and long context, Google for multimodal and real time, Mistral for cost efficiency, Cohere for enterprise search, and Amazon Bedrock as a unified AWS gateway. Pricing is always per token. Input tokens are cheaper than output tokens, and batch processing gives you typically 50% off at the cost of 24-hour latency. The LLM market is rapidly changing, so bookmark the official docs, platform.openai.com, docs.anthropic.com, ai.google.dev, docs.mistral.ai, and docs.cohere.com. Check lmsys.org for independent benchmark rankings. Smart teams use multiple providers for different tasks rather than betting everything on one. Choose based on your needs, not hype, and revisit this decision as the market evolves.